there, if you are a creative woman who is also practical and kind of left-brained, and you find yourself creatively blocked or in a career path that you do not want to be in, please watch to the end of this video. It's totally for you. I think you're going to find a lot of insights and relief today. As a highly creative individual who's both followed my passion and also done the logical career, I can tell you what works and what didn't, and how I'm working on getting back to the creative vision I have for my life. So first things first, we need to get back into our bodies. And what I mean by that is basically when you are feeling creatively blocked, depressed because you're not working on the things that give you happiness, we often get trapped inside our heads. Do you know that feeling when it's like you just don't want to do anything, you're sitting in bed, you're feeling depressed, you can't move, you think, what's the point? Why even working on this? I just might as well do nothing. That's what I'm talking about. I have totally been there. It's so depressing to think, I don't want to work on a project. I don't see where it's going to go. I used to sew a lot as a kid, and I used to also do ballet. It is so helpful for me when I start just moving. Going for a walk, going to the gym. I've started up yoga. Anytime I am feeling really down about how I'm not working on anything that's creative or bringing me fulfillment in life, it's a trap. Your mind wants you to be stuck in that place, in that negativity. So by moving your body and being free, you're kind of breaking that habit of just only dwelling on things in your mind, and instead just letting your body move and letting those good endorphins come and flow, and stop dwelling on the things that are keeping you from making progress. The second important thing is to actually start creating. Now, I want to tell you something. I was somebody who had been trapped for years, not working on much of my own creative pursuits. And the reason for that really was I just didn't see a point, and I wasted so many years of potential, honestly. I think it's upsetting because when I was a kid, all I could think about during the day was how do I construct this dress for myself, or I had visions of what I wanted to wear to like birthday parties. I wasn't thinking about what's the return on investment for creating. I just made things. Along the way, as we become adults, we lose that ability to just create for fun. I especially believe as a woman, we are giving life to something when we make things. And whether you have children or not, I think there's that innate sense in that feminine nature to bring something into the world, your own creation. Additionally, you really need to get into that state of flow. That is such a spiritual place to be because you're going beyond the ego of why or what you're doing. When you're truly in the zone of creating, that flow state is like bliss. The fact that hours and time will pass by and you don't even care because you're so in on what you're working on. Forget about the money, forget about what you're doing with your life. If you are in a zone where you're just getting to do that thing you love, I mean, that's the ideal state. It's also time to start listening to your intuition. We hear this all the time as women, like, listen to your intuition. It's all, in your gut. It's your heart, I say. And trust me, from being kind of a practical oriented person, sometimes that just sounds so stupid, but it's so true. Here's where I'm coming from. I always have been very passionate about designing form-fitting garments like lingerie, base wear, or clothing for dancing. I'm so passionate about just the elegance of the female body. I love being a woman. I love dressing in a way that accentuates my form and just makes me feel really feminine and pretty. I always, constantly, from a young age, just wanted to draw beautiful things that complemented the female form. I actually at one point got to be a lingerie designer. To this day, even after I just recently pivoted a year ago into data analytics, okay, like a super logical career path, and I still think about making corsets and just making beautiful garments of that nature. There has to be a reason for that. There has to be a reason for the things that you constantly keep thinking about, but you convince yourself not to work on it because you don't understand the point. This stuff is important and hard to stomach at times. You need to find ways of injecting your creativity into your 9 to 5. Your 9 to 5 is the last place you want to be right now. Trust me, like, I get it. It's it's hard at times. You're like, why am I here? And it can be hard, especially if you're staring at a computer screen and doing something that you would rather not be. But you have to find ways to inject your creativeness within your role. An example of that is, as I mentioned, I pivoted into data analytics. So when I'm doing an analysis, I get very creative in the questions I have and the insights I want to derive. And when I create the presentations and the decks, I try to really put my effort in, really see it through their eyes. If a statement sounds too jargony with all this data terms and they're not going to understand it, I want them to be like, and like have an unlock. And so that's just an example of using your creative gift and abilities in a way that you can implement in your job and find some fulfillment through that and get some inspiration through that. And guess what? It pays off. Can you believe that even just after a year of pivoting to a completely new industry, in my review, I had an amazing feedback. It translated monetarily to a bonus because I was able to employ my gift of being creative and thoughtful into my projects at work. So you can't quit cold turkey. If you were to just leave your job because you want to pursue your creative outlets, you're going to be in fight or flight state of mind. It's going to take away from that creative energy. Finally, you need to share about what you're working on. Coming from somebody who feels like they have to have it all together before you really can share, I get it. It can be hard sometimes, but you need to lean in and just be open to the world and share what you're working on. I started recently sharing more on social media. I don't really have an objective quite yet. I have a somewhat of a direction where I want to go, but I just wanted to show the things I'm working on that make me happy again. And I know this is actually a beneficial thing to do. In that process, you're going to be striking conversations with people. They're going to ask questions that might spring more ideas into your mind. But additionally, at a time in my career where I actually really wanted to be a lingerie designer, I was making lingerie of my own, designing my own pieces, and I would show it to the design director at my job. Anyone who would be willing to wait and see what I had to show them. Like, I'd be like, hey, look at this bra I just made. Like a complete dork. I didn't care. I was so excited about it that I just had to show people. Guess what? Only a year or two later, I was asked by that design director if I wanted to be on their team. Hell yeah, like of course. You really just need to get into the practice of sharing what you're working on, regardless if you have an end goal right now or not. It's gonna benefit you so much because when you put it out there in the world, you're planting these little seeds and people are gonna think of you or might ask something that makes you think of something. This topic is so important to me because I was in pain for so many years and I just want to help other people who are struggling with the same thing. I think another topic I want to dive into possibly next time is if we're blocked, we have so much pent up and so many things that can be holding us back from moving forward. That's our way of contributing. If you're blocked, you have these wounds that are holding you back. This is something that should be addressed. So that's something I would love to talk about later. In any case, thank you so much. And I hope these tips have been helpful for you. And I would love to hear about where you're at and what you're struggling with creatively. Talk to you next time.